my crafty friend, and thank you so much for tuning in to today's junk journal flip through video. I am so excited about what I've made this week because you know I've done a lot of Peacock journals in the past. If you're one of my regular subscribers, if so, thank you for sticking with me on this crafty journey. If you're new, welcome, and thank you also for joining me on this crafty journey. But anyhow, this is the first Peacock journal I've made for my Etsy shop using exclusively Peacock digitals that I've designed myself. So yeah, I just love the way this one turned out. It's opulent. It's full of beautiful, extravagant textiles, like this pretty sequined green fabric on the back. Of course, the fussy cut sari trim peacock on the front laid over this stunning peacock teal velvet. But anyway, yeah, I just adore this one. So the pocket holds, of course, a little secret tuck spot, and I'll let you know what those little goodies are in a second. First, I'll just share a little bit about the cover design. Of course, I should call my videos picking cat hair off journals and flipping through. But anyway, I didn't fully glue this little piece down because I thought when the pocket is empty, it looks so cool to have kind of like a hanging garden purple floral bit there. So yeah, I love that little piece. Anyway, what I've put in the pocket, I took one of my antique French letters and photocopied it onto tracing paper and then folded it up just like the original. And then I thought this was a cool one because the shape and size is so unusual for a letter. It's from the 1800s, not this one, but the original. And that stamp is a genuine vintage French stamp that I just stuck over where the stamp had been. But yeah, I love copying onto tracing paper because you get that cool, crinkly texture that we love so much in the crafting community. And I just put some plain blue paper in there that you can do some journaling on. And I thought it looked really nice with the color scheme of this journal. I'm thinking of digitizing all of my French antique ledgers and turning it into a printable kit. So that's on the back burner. Always something to do. But yeah, that just folds up like so and goes into this tuck spot. Don't you just love these sari trim flowers and things? I sure do. And then the other piece in that pocket, I made a layered pocket page, like a layered floating pocket, using one of the journal cards from my new Peacock printable kit. This was a public domain antique peacock image with these beautiful blossoming tree branches. And then on top of it, I used one of my Peacock digital designs. I printed it onto mulberry paper, and it gave such a lavish, almost like a velvety texture to the print. I just glued that down and then layered it with a little bit of tulle and a little bit of ribbon to create the pockets. And then of course I did some collaging with textile scraps onto the ribbon. And this is the last of my gold peacock lace. So whoever gets this one, you're getting the last one. But a little fragment of an envelope from the Netherlands. I tried to color coordinate all the ephemera. So of course it has like a purple lacy look on the back. The front has that peacock green sort of a color. And then I stuffed the pockets with tickets. Actually, I think I wanted this one in here. This one is a Sri Lankan train ticket. Kind of cool. And then this is a French stamp from the 1960s with kind of a fairy tale castle in those peacock colors. So yeah, I love the way it looks to have little bits stacked together on the cover of a journal. To me, that just gives it so much opulence. And for the closure, I used some sari trim. Not sari trim, sorry, some recycled sari. And inside the front pocket, I created a cute little bundle of goodness. But first, I want to show you this. So I took a vintage clip-on earring. You can tell that it's rusted. Like, that patina is genuine. I didn't do anything to it, except the top part, the decorative piece had broken off. So I glued a bunch of beautiful blue apatite pieces to it. So that's genuine blue apatite crystals. And the tail of the peacock flips out, so you can see the full peacock here. Obviously, I couldn't cut it, and I couldn't just glue it down on the inside. I like for her to be able, for him, I should say, to be able to extend his tail. But because I'm always a little bit extra, I couldn't leave it so that it was the raw fabric on the back. I had to do something with it. So I turned the peacock tail into a little mini booklet within the book using some paper that I dyed, coffee dyed, kind of a blue-green. And this is a little scrap of handmade paper from India. So yeah, that's my first little exciting bit within this book. And I think it looks so gorgeous. This beautiful fabric with almost like a peacock tail motif was in a happy mail I received from the lovely Kimberly. Thank you for that. She sent that to me last year, and I've been hoarding it this whole time. So yeah. These are also from my printable kit. This I printed, by the way, everything you see in the journal is printed half size. So if you print it full size, it's sized for a regular junk journal. But I wanted to do a little mini. I love this one. These were public domain images. This is a stained glass window design, kind of from the Art Nouveau era. And this was a book plate illustration. So cool. This beautiful piece, to Marie Legray, or Marie de Grey, this is an authentic vintage or antique. I'll have to check the date. But it's an authentic French letter that I purchased and received just yesterday in the mail. It got here just in time to make it into this junk journal. I bought this from a fellow junk journal crafter. You may have heard of Crafty Paper Bits. I love her work. And she has, she's based in France. And she has a shop on Instagram where she sells authentic French ephemera that she finds in her area. And that is called Petit Papier Shop. So anyway, it's so cute. I don't see a date on this, but it's definitely vintage. It's too bad. I think the year is kind of missing. It looks like the 29th of July, 19-something. Anyway, maybe somebody else can see it where I'm not seeing it. But I just love including authentic French things. And it's been such a treat finding her Instagram shop, because she offers things at a very reasonable price compared to what they sell for on eBay and Etsy. So yeah, I just tied up that little bundle of goodness with a purple ribbon. And if you're new to making junk journals and you're curious about how I put books together, the last video that I made, you may have already seen it, of course, but if you haven't, the last video I made gives the step-by-step process of how I made an entire little journal out of this printable kit. So for those who are in the market for tutorials and such, this cover is very, very similar to the cover of that little book. And that, of course, is in my printable kit, as is this writing paper. And this is one of the little ephemera bits. I turned it into a pocket and tucked in just a tiny little strip of scrap paper that came from one of the coffee dyed papers my friend May sent me from Saudi Arabia. That's what this is made of too. Backed that with some vintage music paper. Here's some beautiful braille paper from the 1960s. I just love that texture. And some cute sort of seafoam green trim. A little tuck spot made out of one of the Peacocks from the printable kit. You can do some secret journaling on the back of that. And it holds in another really cool French ephemera piece from Petit Papier Shop. This is actually a taxi driver's license from 1963. 1960 to 63. But how cool is that? I almost teared up a little bit when I saw his picture because his smile and his eyes just look so friendly. But really cool. It kind of has the feeling of an old library book card. Just some trim on some vintage music paper. Good journaling space on this music paper because it's not printed too closely together. Here's some blue paper that I coffee dyed. Another Peacock label from my printable kit. I just did some gold paint around the edges. And this beautiful thing is some vintage, almost antique, Sears wallpaper sample from 1928. And it's really cool to see these because this was the era of wallpaper that was still hand stamped. So there's a bit of a touch of the artist in this piece. Paper clip decorated with some junk jewelry beads. This is some tissue paper I made myself out of the cornstarch handmade paste that I painted over a napkin. Very, very crinkly. I think I used too much paste because it's kind of turned out glossy, whereas it was supposed to be matte, but I still think it's really cool. Another page out of my printable kit, printed on cardstock so you can tuck something into it. The back is also from that kit. I put some fluffy sari trim on the bottom there just because I like the way it looks sticking out of the book page. This is a vintage wine label, the Goddess Diana. And I've just kind of used the top of this fringy bit to tuck it in. That's a piano roll. This was a fun page. So I found this single kind of broken earring in a junk jewelry jar. And of course, the sequins are the peacock colors, so it had to go in here. So I attached it to one of these clips, and I used it to kind of frame the beautiful woman on this page from a French fashion magazine from the 1940s. And I just love all the illustrated ads on this. This gorgeous woman in her jewelry. Funny little person. And then on the back you have these cool scarf illustrations and knitting ads. So yeah, I just kind of folded this up the way you'd fold an antique French letter and then clipped that in here. Pour être plus jolie, so to be more beautiful is what they're advertising there. And then on the other side of this, I clipped in a page out of a French engineer's manual from 1912. And just look at the illustrations, like even mechanical parts that we don't even give a second thought today were illustrated to look like things of beauty back then. It's a very fragile page, and it even has some bookworm holes chewed through it that, to me, are beautiful. And it's from Paris, Patty. This is a book, a vintage book I love to use the pages of because they have a sweet sort of a tactile texture, and the name of the book is The Star Rover, which is just so cool. That's a genuine stamp from the tropical country of St. Thomas. And this is a journal card from my printable kit, kind of inked to look older on some blue coffee dyed paper. This tuck spot is made from a genuine Victorian scrapbook piece of a peacock. This side was cut, like the whole thing is fussy cut with a really great texture, except for some reason this side was cut smooth, so I put it right up to the edge of the page and used it as a tuck spot to hold this vintage diamond jewelry promo page. It's a scorecard for the game of bridge, but I thought it was cute. Have the diamonds in your ring examined for free. Make sure he didn't cheap out on you and give you a fake. But it's fun to see things where the phone number is only 4 digits. That's kind of how you can date it. Another page from my printable kit. This might be one of my favorites in that Peacock kit. I love those Art Nouveau style, just stunning flowers. And another page from the kit. This fussy cut peacock came from a piece of trim that arrived in a Happy Mail from Cat Stone just this past week. So again, perfect timing. And I tried to glue it down on the page so that the treble clef is just perfectly peekabooing through. Oops. Another page from the printable kit. I love that mint green. And again, a page from the printable kit. I had fun on this page. I made kind of a flip out accordion booklet using a green coffee dyed page laid over a blue coffee dyed page. And I used that as a tuck spot to hold this beautiful Asian antique peacock painting. And this albino peacock is just stunning. And behind that I put a vintage prayer card. It's either in Dutch or German. I think probably Dutch. And I found that in my local thrift shop. Kind of put it in this way because it looks nice, I think, having some of that gorgeous script hang through, peek out. But yeah, good journaling space here and here. And of course here, I love that periwinkle color. Another page from the printable kit. And another. The ink kind of bled through here, so full disclosure, if you're the one who claims this book, don't be surprised if you get it and some of the pages you can kind of see what's printed on the other side. But I think if you write on this, it'll camouflage that nicely. This is a receipt from 1950 from Austria. Thank you, Angelica, for these. Got a lovely thin texture. Another peacock from the kit. It's a huge printable kit, by the way. Like, it's in my Etsy shop now, and like well over 100 pages to print out. Obviously, I didn't use all of them in here, or else the book would have been 10 signatures large. But yeah, I found this in a junk jewelry jar and just love it. It's like a silver dusted purple bead. Very pretty. And I just pinned under that, paper clipped under that a little trim sample that can be glued down somewhere. I try to leave room for the owner of the book to play. But yeah, that flower is the same one that I used on the cover, so there's a little bit of consistency. Beautiful piece of fabric that May had given me. I was going to glue it down as a tuck spot, but then again, I thought I'll leave that up to the future owner of the book. You can see how I laid the pages down on top of each other when I coffee dyed them. The blue, the green, and the kind of turquoisey. Another page from the printable kit. These are just some tiny little journaling pages that came out of an old notebook. I think you can tell at this point which are the pages out of the printable kit. I don't need to point them out every time. So here's the center of the signature. And of course I adorned it with some beautiful jewelry jar beads. But surprise, it comes out. So what I did here, I'm just going to carefully lift this out. I made it so that the cover has some of this beautiful recycled sari pulled through the lining and glued under. Actually, no, wrapped around and then through the lining. So you can actually take this out and use this as a journal, or you can tie extra pages into it. So if you want to add, for example, a card or a page before this journal cover or something more in the middle, you could totally do that. Yeah, I love, whenever I make a personal junk journal for myself, I make it so that the signatures tie in, because it's nice to be able to grow with your journal and add pages to it as you go and be able to pull things out and put them back in. But anyway, I adore this little tassel of beads. Look at how perfect that little foiled glass is on the bottom, and then this one with all the glittery purples. No two beads alike, all different. I had to do a close-up of this one because those kind of greenish bubbles over the surface, they just look so special to me. So yeah, a lot of these pages I left blank so that you can actually do some journaling in the journal if you're a journaler. Here's a fun little tuck spot, another label that I did some gold around the edges. And in it I put some bits for you to do collaging with. So some of that vintage music paper, a little bit of pink coffee dyed paper left over from my recent Valentine's journal, and a couple genuine scraps of silvered and golded. Oh, that's fun how this one says rose on the back. I didn't even notice that before. But anyway, yeah, these are also pieces of original, genuine 1928 Sears wallpaper. Oh, I just love how those flowers look next to that turquoise coffee dyed page. This is the other side of that receipt from 1950. You can see that it had a rusty staple through it at one point. Or no, it was probably up against something else with a rusty staple. I just realized there's no actual puncture holes. But it's so cool, isn't it? Just put a little bit of sari trim there. Little textile kind of tag thing. I love the way it looks to have textures and fabrics kind of sticking out some of the side pages, the sides of the pages. I made a little pocket out of this side of the music paper, and into that I stuck a very precious ephemera fragment. This is rice paper that has been stamped with information about a Kuan Yin temple pilgrimage. Kuan Yin is the Bodhisattva of compassion in Buddhism. And she's basically a being who attained full enlightenment, but she decided that before she moves into nirvana, or the celestial realm of enlightenment, she's going to remain on earth in spirit form as a guide to help others who are seeking that state. So very, very inspiring figure. And it's from a book that chronicles the pilgrimage path to her various temples and shrines in Japan. And it's just really cool. So yeah, you can see where it was originally bound into a little booklet. So yeah, that's an authentic page. I love combining authentic ephemera with printables and coffee dyed paper. This little bit of gorgeousness was also in my recent Happy Mail from Kat Stone. So thank you, Kat. She knows how many peacock themed journals I love to make. And I tied a little bit of that sari scrap onto the top of it just to give a bit of texture sticking out the top. This was another little scrap of some of the coffee dyed paper from May. I love how you can see kind of like the shadow of a rose peeking through. The other side of that Star Wanderer book page. I made a pocket tuck spot out of this really pretty, very, very sparkly peacock feather ribbon and stuck just a folded piece of blue patterned wallpaper. That's from a wallpaper sample book, but a new one. So that's not vintage, but it's still cool. And then on this side, another cool beaded, what do you call it? Beaded jewelry drop piece hanging out from another paper clip on another piece of coffee dyed paper with some vintage Queen Elizabeth stamps in peacock colors. And then I took a little scrap of some scrapbook paper and stuck it here. So you can do some journaling on the back of this or glue it down somewhere as a tuck spot. And then on the other side of that, this is one of my favorite ephemera pieces from the printable kit because I am such a lover of jewelry. It's like an old brooch, an antique brooch design that I turned into a fussy cut journaling card, which could also be like glued down. Say if you put a drop of glue in the middle and put it here, you could use that as like a tuck spot for little paper bits. The other side of the piano roll paper. Here, I made a pocket out of some vibrant green ribbon, and into it, I stuck an envelope I made out of this cool mandala origami paper and stuffed it with postage stamps. So they're all different. A lot of them are still on the envelope pieces, and those make great bookmarks or additions to your collages. So yes, some of them are just the stamps, and then others are backed on paper. Really gorgeous. My origami, it's coming undone. But yeah, I love how that turned out. And I'm also sticking into there a little blue bird of happiness. This is a sticker. I printed them on sticker paper. And I've decided from now on, whoever orders something from my Etsy shop, I'm sticking a little bluebird of happiness on the package. But yeah, there's the little bluebird of happiness in this book. Those were hand painted by Kat Stone. And thank you, Kat. And I scanned them in and printed them on sticker paper. Just a little textile collage on the back of this printable page. I stuck a little bit of vibrant pink throughout the book just to kind of contrast the peacock colors. So this is a little scrap of sari, and I used that as a tuck spot for yet another piece of that gorgeous coffee dyed paper from May. A little tuck spot made out of that embroidered textile. Another one of the journal cards from the printable kit. More of that vintage music paper. More of that stunning braille paper. Some green lace, again, just to add texture and beauty on the page edges. This is a lovely stationery page, not part of the printable kit. This is actual stationery that I found that I coffee dyed because it looked just a little bit too stark white. And I made a tuck spot pocket out of beautiful blue lace. And then there's the back of the book. And then the back of the cover, I fussy cut the edge of some beautiful sari trim. And I just love the way that looks. I've never done that before. for a tuck spot pocket, but it just looked so much more complete than if I had left the sari trim just rectangular as it was. So I'm definitely going to do that again in the future. But yeah, there we have the last 2 journal cards from the printable kit. I mean, the last 2 of the ones I printed as journal cards. There are, like I said, well over 100 different images. But yeah, and I love, love, love that green. So here's how she looks from all the different angles. Full of beads and textile goodness and papers and printed beauty and genuine ephemera beauty. I hope you love it as much as I do. Sometimes I get super excited about one of my projects and then I wonder, am I nerding out about this too much, or are people going to love it as much as I do? I'm just showing you how I like to tie the bow. So I tie a big floppy bow, and then, let's see, how did I do this? Oh no. A small floppy bow, and then another bow. I was about to trim the edges of this sari because I felt like I cut it too long. And then I had this idea and it worked. And I'm sure I'm not the first person to have come up with it. I'm sure it's been done. But yeah, that way you get like a double loop. And I think it just looks so much more full and beautiful. So anyway, there she is, my Peacock journal, made entirely from genuine ephemera and my own designed Peacock printables. Oh, and the ring to go with. So this baby, I always do a ring with every journal, as my regular viewers know. I found the base of this ring in a junk jewelry jar, but it was empty. And so I glued in blue apatite beads, just like the ones on that vintage earring in here. Chrome diopside, that's the green stone, and amethyst, that's the purple on the top. And I used high-grade jeweler's epoxy, so those are permanently in there. And what they represent in crystal healing, the amethyst is a crown chakra gem, so that's about your spiritual connection. If you're religious, like your connection to God or your chosen deity. Chrome diopside is a heart chakra gem, so that's for love. And blue apatite is a third eye gem. That's for intuition, wisdom, and a bit for the throat as well, which is about self-expression and honoring your creative expression. So yeah, that ring is my gift with purchase to whoever claims this beauty. And if you do, I hope you love her as much as I do. And yeah, I hope this video inspired you to get crafting. Thank you so much for watching. So much love to you. Bye for now.